Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
Welcome back to another exciting episode
of Live,
Let,
Thrive. What is up, Myka? Man.
I am chilling, Stevie Stacks. Just got back from my favorite city, H-Town, Texas, and I had a great Easter weekend. How you doing?
Oh, man. Nice. Wonderful. I had a great Easter weekend with my family, too. You know, we're blessed. We got so much going on, man. Our families are good. And it's, we're doing some short-term rental stuff. As you know, that's what people tune in for on your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, short-term, mid-term, long-term rental podcast in the world called Live, Let, Thrive. This is episode 247.
247. What we got going on today, Steve?
We got a special guest. Who do we got? We got the STR Hero himself. Theron Lewis is on the show. He's out there fighting for all our STR rights, man, all over the country, currently here in Dallas. So we got a big show. We're going to see some updates on Dallas, and we're going to see some updates on other major cities where y'all might be investing and might be investing in the future. So what's up, Theron?
Woo! Hey, man, look, I'm This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one. That's all I gotta say. I'm in very good spirits. I mean, I usually am, but I remember when we were talking last time, the last podcast that we did, and you know, from now to here, man, we've made huge leaps and bounds. So I'm in a very, very good mood. I'm really happy to be back on, and yeah, that things are going good. You know, this is let's just say it was a good Easter. Like I said, it was a good Easter. You know, got some good news before the Easter weekend. So yeah,
you called me. You called me Friday or Saturday with some good news. I was like, oh, this is cool, man. I getting a phone call from Superman himself. So what's the latest developments in Houston? I'm sorry, in Dallas before we dive into other things.
For sure. And it's funny you made that Freudian slip, because I'm from Houston. That's where I'm at right now. So this is one of my locations. So I actually, between me and y'all, it's like nobody else is gonna hear this, right? When I bring up Dallas, I swear I make a Freudian slip and say Houston all the time. And I don't know if it's just because I'm from Houston or if I'm thinking, oh man, all right, so Dallas is having some issues. Man, Houston better not be having no issues anytime soon. But I can say, we ain't heard none yet, so I don't want to scare nobody. We're doing good. We're doing good. All right. It's Houston's close to it's my hometown. It's close to my heart, and I Dallas is really right there with it. So and I actually used to my dad actually lived in Dallas for a while too. So I used to go to Dallas when I was a kid a lot. So long story short, yeah, all this is close to home to me, and Dallas, I'm really happy to report on some good things. So what's been going on in Dallas, you probably want me to kind of give a synopsis, I'm sure, right? Yeah, I'll give a synopsis to tell people where we were at before now. So, for people who don't know Dallas, it's one of the major markets. And so it's really this is a city that a lot of people look towards. This is a city where a lot of the biggest influencers in the space, like the ones I'm talking to right now, they're in, they're either there, they're around there. Okay. This is a STR epicenter in terms of the industry. So it's one of the most important markets, and, things had been going, I'd say, relatively well. People have been doing, great business in the city. There was a lot of growth in short-term rentals, but there was always this undercurrent of, possible bad regulation coming. There was always these news reports coming out of city council has some gripes about short-term rentals, or they've been hearing a lot of complaints. They're looking to, they had a hearing thinking about regulation. And what usually happens is that regulation, when it's not done with the collaboration of a association, it's just not done in a good way for the industry. It's not good for anybody. So that's something that for years, Dallas had always been dealing with, but things were okay. But and let me make sure I have the exact date right, or the year right. This was 2022 was when things really came to a head, where they were starting to make decisions and put things together where they're going to actually pass a unfair short-term rental ban. So, that happened earlier on in 2022 where things started coming to a head. And, that's when short-term rentals were going to be in jeopardy. And it was basically going to be something that could take out 70% of the industry. And so that basically would wipe it out as we know it. So that's when I got the call. A lot of people, a lot of friends of mine, of course, you guys on this podcast, Steve and Myka, they hit me up. Man, I'm starting just doing a bunch of shout outs, y'all. Okay. People that we all know, Noble Crawford hit me up. Mike Brown hit me up. Shoot, I think Sean mentioned something to me. Sean Rackage, like a bunch of people hit me up. And it was, then I realized, okay, this is a real issue. I looked at what was going on. I had been keeping track to a decent degree, but I realized, okay, now we got to act, because I'm seeing this is like the cities where we need to act, and things happen badly if there's not anything that's changing there. So they were proposing regulation that was going to possibly ban 70% of the industry, and it was seriously being considered, and it was something that could have been voted on very quickly. So that's when STR Hero, the company, jumped in, and what our main goal was to get that ban pulled in the best way possible, whether that be collaborating with an existing association, or if we needed to, we'll pull together the community and get this done ourselves. And the thing is, we did it in the best way. Like I really couldn't have imagined a better way for this to go down, because what we ended up being able to do was to work with Dallas STRA, which is an existing association that is the association that's been operating for, I think, going on 3 years, if not close to 4 years now. And we were able to give them the tools they needed to properly fight this ban. And, we ended up coming together to make this stuff happen. There were things that, if you guys, some folks that were on the last call, we started an association called Sharing Dallas. That was something to, quickly gather the people together. But we were able to work with Dallas STRA, and we did the best thing, which was to have the existing association that's been representing people. They have over 1,000 people on their email list, like the hometown association, getting them the tools they needed and the strategy they needed to get this stuff done. So from early 2022 to now, it went from the industry being reduced by 70% to now it's looking like this is something that will be delayed heavily, kicked down the road, and most likely thrown out. But I want to be super clear. This is something that we need to keep watching. And even if the best case scenario happens where they just, stop focusing on this, and we're able to, we have breathing room and we're able to collaborate, we need to keep the momentum going in terms of having an association that represents you guys, represents the people, because that's what's going to allow the final nail in the coffin to happen, where you guys are a part of creating the actual ordinance that does pass, and it's good regulation that gets passed. So long story short, we went from almost losing most of the short-term rentals in Dallas to now it's looking like there's a turning point. We need to keep watch on April 19th. That's when we're going to start finding out if they're going to delay this much further. And if that happens, because of election season coming up, and just, all of the things that entail a legislation getting delayed that much, that is about as big of a win that you can get in this industry. And then it's just about getting, continuing to interface with the government to be a part of creating good regulations. And that stuff could be passed a year down the line, 2 years, whatever. But you guys are still operating. That's what matters.
So I see a change since the beginning of all this, because we went through some fights early on with the city of Arlington and stuff like that, little cities around here. that went ahead and banned it, or pretty much 99% bans in a lot of these places. So when did it and why, when did it change, and why did it change to us hosts wanting regulations, as opposed to like, screw you, this is my house, I can do whatever I want with it, to okay, we welcome regulations? And what are good regulations, and why are they important?
Okay, so that's, Steve, you asked one of the best questions ever, because we see so much bad regulation. You probably, most people in the industry probably assume, and whenever there's a news report about regulation, it's going to be bad regulation. So we hear about that so much, but what are the actual good examples of regulation? So I'll give you some great examples, because there are cities, especially cities that we've been working with, that actually do this well. And so one city that I want to mention is Columbus, Ohio. So the regulation for Columbus is that there's a 3-strike rule. And that means if you have a verifiable issue at a property, meaning a city official shows up, you have a party house and the cop shows up, writes a report or whatever, something where it's verified, not a neighbor complaint, not something anecdotal, something where the government official comes, you have 3 of those and you're out. So if you get 3 of those violations, you lose your license, but everybody gets to have their license. So that's a real key piece there. And that's something that we believe generally works in almost every city. If every city had that, that really wouldn't be a bad regulation right there. Everybody's able to operate, and then 3 strikes and you're out. So that's one of the best examples of a great regulation piece. But, you know, there are reasons to have certain restrictions on short-term rentals. Now, do we think Dallas is one of those places that needs it? No. But in a town, like a smaller town where it's a vacation town, and let's say 50 or 60% of all the properties are short-term rentals, where it used to be maybe 10% of properties were transient. You know, that is an obvious extreme effect on that population, right? So if they're having issues with affordable housing, or just having, you know, housing availability for people that live there, that's an understandable thing to put a cap on. So sensible caps, which is what we like to call it, where maybe there's something where, okay, once you get to 30% of the housing stock, or 20%, something like that, you know, there's no more short-term rentals. That really depends on the city. So, you know, that's really how you'd want to look at that. And there are examples of cities that do that. I would say that is something that it's not a lot of cities that do it. They either don't do it at all, or like they don't enforce it, or they don't do it very well. So some cities, I'll give you an example. Chicago put regulation in 2016 that basically put a cap on the amount of properties you can have in one building. So you, like, as one company, you can only have 6 properties in, excuse me, I want to make sure I have that right. I might be misphrasing that. It's 10% of the population of the property, meaning 10% of the amount of units in the property, or 10 units. And you know what I'll do? If there's like a correction I need to make, I can follow up on that. We have a database. I can literally just do a little bit of typing, and we can have that. But basically, it has a cap, and once you get to 10 properties, that's the cap. So we don't believe that that's necessarily the best, because you could have Chicago has tons of housing stock. You could have a building that has, you know, it could have 200, 300, 400 units. You can only have 10, you know, so that's not necessarily ideal. So that's an example of, you know, the right intention, but it's not really being applied in the best way. But those are two things that we think are really good examples of regulation. You know, having some sort of cap on the amount of properties when you need it is good. That shouldn't be everywhere, but it should be in some places. But a 3-strike rule is fantastic. And, you know, the overarching part of that is, in most cases, there should be something where you need to get licensed, but you're not being restricted based on residential zones, commercial zones, because that's a key part of the short-term rental economy. And there's, you know, overwhelming evidence that this is something that works good for neighborhoods in most cases, not bad for neighborhoods. Those bad actors give us a bad name. and you just think about party houses when you think of a short-term rental in a neighborhood. So hopefully that answers the questions there. And that's why, that's why we do what we do. We pull data on regulations in other places. We have a database actually of over 1,400 short-term rental regulations. And we use that to give suggestions to governments that fit a certain mold. So it's like, okay, if you're in, if it's something that's like Columbus, well, here, you need to do something like Columbus and vice versa. So yeah, that's simply put, those three things are the best things to do for regulation in most places.
So right now with Dallas, like what was the decision? Because I know April 4th something happened. What was the decision? What decision was made that day, and what's happening right now?
For sure. So with April 4th, the decision was made to basically not review short-term rentals on the 11th. And at first it was going to be where on the 11th of April, they could possibly vote on it. So that was going to be the ultimate day at that point. They decided not to do that and put it back into a review stage, meaning and I guess you could call it a briefing stage, because they now have briefing dates where they're going to be reviewing, but they cannot vote on the regulations, and they're pulling more data. So those are two huge things. So the briefing dates are April 19th and May 3rd. And the fact that they're going back to pull more data means that this is a clear, 100% undeniable sign that they are not confident in passing this regulation right now. Because why would you want to pull more data on the things regarding regulation, for legislation that you're ready to pass? At that, like when you have the legislation, you're trying to pass it, the data collection process is supposed to have been done. That's like the data is collected, and that's why we made this proposed legislation. So the fact that they're doing that is a huge telltale sign. Now we're going to know the concrete details on the 19th and or May 3rd. That's when we're really going to see if they're going to still try and vote this in, or just vote on this in general in May or June.
Well, okay, now you brought up a good point, because that was my thing. Because whenever you start kicking the can down the road when it comes to politics, you do give them time to collect data. What kind of data do you think they're looking at to make a decision? What data are they looking at?
For sure. So, I believe there's going to be more that comes out as we move forward, but we can go by what they've already put out there. So they've already put out surveys requesting data from the population in general, meaning they have put out surveys asking people in general, hosts, citizens, just anybody who's a Dallas resident, what do you think about short-term rentals? And they're asking you, are you in the industry? Are you owner operator? Are you just a regular person? Do you know of any short-term rentals in the area? There's like a plethora of questions. And I think this would probably might be good, depending on, how much of your audience is in Dallas. It might be good. I have the link. We can spread that information around, because here's the thing. They're literally asking the public about this. And the more people that we have that are actually knowledgeable about short-term rentals answering these surveys, the better. So we need to get these surveys out to as many people as possible. And that's what we're doing with Dallas STRA. We're going to be meeting to talk about that. And, we're really at that stage of, okay, let's keep this momentum going and make sure they understand that the industry is really a great thing that needs to stay. So that's one thing that they're already requesting. And it's basically like them saying, all right, guys, so, we hear complaints about the industry. We're hearing great things about the industry. We just need to figure, okay, what do y'all think? What do y'all really think? Like, what do y'all want us to do? You see what I'm saying? And so again, it's almost like, I don't want to jump the gun in terms of knowing exactly all the stuff they're thinking, but you can really see that it's almost like a little bit of a hands in the air, like, what do y'all want us to do? We ain't really, completely convinced we need to ban it now. We're hearing a lot of back and forth. What do y'all want us to do? So again, big deal. It's a big deal that they're asking for that information. So we want to get it out to as many pro STR folks as possible.
So I know that that data is more like public opinion, right? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Would there be any other data that they would pull? Like maybe like, okay, who's paying taxes, right? How much money are we, how much revenue are we coming? Because I mean, we're in America. It's capitalism. It's all about the almighty dollar. Are they that type of data?
So here's the thing. They're going to most likely want, when I say anything and everything, they're going to want anything and everything that relates to the government with regards to short-term rentals. So data on taxes, data on how much revenue it brings, so they can see how much, that potentially they could get tax dollars wise. They're gonna, they would probably love to know about certain like demographics, like where are short-term rentals mostly located, what districts are they in. They're gonna want, all of that information if they don't have some of that already. So we know that they don't have a lot of this data. I mean, that's the problem with almost every government in general that's trying to ban or regulate short-term rentals is they don't have the data. They don't have the right data and enough of comprehensive data to make these decisions. So they will likely be wanting that data. And this period, we believe, is the time where they'll be looking for it, where entities can submit this data. It's very likely that they're going to call some sort of, I don't even want to call it a committee just yet, but they're going to be trying to find sources to give them this data. And again, this is y'all's time to shine, because this is a call for collaboration. If the short-term rental industry heeds that call. Before, they were doing that, but there were not the right inroads made with the government to really make that impact. Now, the association for Dallas has a lobbyist, a lobbying firm that has connected them with the government in a way that they needed to be connected. That's the key to really communicating with the government and making change. So, and y'all can see this like night and day. Now that y'all have these connections, it is like, it's impossible for y'all not to be a part of the conversation as long as the association is able to continue doing their part, which means the community continuing to support by participation, donation, all of those things. If they say, hey, we need to do something, that's like the thing that needs to be done, because that means that the lobbying firm said it. If they needed to speak to their legal side of things, they said it. Like, they're completely tapped in now. So it's all about, the community just following up. And I think you guys are going to be a part of the conversation in a big way. Like, they want help on this. Like, that's the big thing. They want help.
So now, like, go ahead. Oh, okay. The lobbyists. You keep mentioning the lobbyists, and you talked on that, how the importance of having a lobbyist last time. Now the lobbyist is telling them, things that y'all are kind of relaying your message through the lobbyist to them, I assume, and vice versa. Is he coming back and telling you guys any tidbits of information? Like, I remember you said one city that, I think it was Detroit. It was y'all thought it was about the hotels trying to kick out short-term rentals, and ended up the lobbyists found out no, it was actually about the cleaners union or something like that. Housekeeping union. Yep. Housekeeping union was the whole thing. He found that out, or whoever it was. Is the Dallas lobbyist giving y'all nuggets of information saying, hey, this is really why they want to try to ban it, or this is what they want?
Oh, absolutely. So, the thing is, I would say with Dallas, things are more clear than they are in many other cities, because it's always been a mixed bag in Dallas. And I think you guys have seen that. First of all, Texas was supposed to be one of those states, generally a red state that wouldn't necessarily have these sorts of this type of legislation. They property rights and business rights, like they really were not seen as, oh, we're likely going to have issues here. But again, this is an issue that goes across party lines. Like, this is something that's affecting everybody. So it came to a head. But because of the stance of Texas in general, Texas, the state, ruled that having a short-term rental, that's your property right. So it's not something that you can just necessarily have taken away. this is something that has been a mixed bag because of that. So there's your property rights side of folks, and commerce. And then there's the neighbors, the neighborhoods. Yeah, okay. Because this is something that affects people on a grassroots level and a neighborhood level, even if a government has these things in place and they believe, yeah, we're pro business, pro property rights, if there's enough folks and representatives of these neighborhoods that have have all the time on their hands to be fighting this stuff, okay, and they have dollars, we're talking about well-to-do neighborhoods, people, older folks, like, again, with nest eggs that have time on their hands and are getting the political consultants, okay, the lobbyists, before the industry got their lobbyists. Of course, there's definitely going to be some impact there. So, it's bringing it back to it being a mixed bag. It's a lot of stuff with regards to the neighborhoods in certain neighborhood associations, trying to get short-term rentals out of their neighborhoods. And it's never a one person thing or one entity thing, but that's definitely a big piece of it. I think this is something that Dallas has known a lot. We expect that there's, hotel influence and stuff as well, as, there would be in almost every situation like this. It doesn't mean that they started it, but it's like, they're like, okay, well, hey, why not? Okay, does this, give us more protections? Okay, awesome. This is, we get to take a hit at the competition. Great. So, but that's the thing. It's those two kind of forces. What's the word? It's those forces kind of going fighting against each other. And short-term rentals, the industry didn't really have that unified voice operating in the right way to combat that, whereas these neighborhood associations did. Now, I'll say this: there's even more stuff where, like, the way that the lobbyists work, and the main folks. Well, let's just say they're ladies, by the way. They don't like to be out in Front Street, so I won't say too much. It's better to keep things behind the scenes. But they talk to all the different city council people, all the people that are involved in this, and they know about different things that deal with those relationships. Where certain city council folks are pro short-term rentals, certain people are against it, and it could be like it gets really intricate. But that's not the most important piece. It's really, as long as we understand where we need to go. It's like, okay, is this something that we can stop? Do we have the power to stop this? Do we have the influence to stop this? Do people care enough about our issue to stop this? And that's the thing. We realize, yes, we do. We have a lot of allies on our hands. There's a lot of city council folks that are pro short-term rental. And again, I don't want to put certain council members on Front Street. A lot of stuff we try to keep behind the scenes just so we can get the job done. And there's no interruptions or people getting thrown under the bus. But, what the lobbyists did is they connected you guys to the government the right way. So they gave you guys allies. They helped convey the message the right way to all these different people. They, put the association and different people that are in these neighborhoods in, what's the word? Behind closed doors with these council members so they could say their piece, one-on-one. Like, I think the associations met with almost more than half of all the council members, like on a one-on-one basis. And like, that's what needed to happen. That was a big piece to making sure that you guys' voices were heard. So once that started happening, again, there's just so much commotion. It is no longer a cut and dry thing. It's no longer, we unanimously want short-term rentals to be out of here, or we want them to be out of here in the majority want them to be banned. So, it was like, and I really felt this back when we first got started. I looked at the situation, and when I understood what was going on and went to some of the meetings, I'm like, there are so many people on you guys' side, but it's just, things aren't just, the political process is just not happening fully. So, having the lobbyists in place to professionalize and show the government that, hey, this is a actual professional industry that's coming at you the right way, connecting with you the right way, and here's this, that, and the third, showing that this is something that should still be in place and that this ordinance shouldn't be done in this way. You guys, made the allies you needed, and things are going in a really good direction. So, yeah, hopefully I didn't go. I don't know. Hopefully that y'all could follow that, but it's interesting. Like, even now, because this is so fresh off the presses, I think about it and I'm like, wow, there's just so much that happened in that time period, and I always felt that you guys had a really good shot at stopping this, and there were a lot of allies. It was just connecting you guys to those allies the right way, and that's what they did, man. It's been really good to see.
Does the lobbyists know? Because this is starting to hear, people are hearing rumblings of this. Has the city of Dallas asked the OTAs for data?
I mean, here's the thing. I haven't gotten confirmation from the lobbyists on that specifically. And, well, I'll put it like this. In my experience, with all the other cities I work with, I'm sure that's definitely something the city has probably done. Don't quote me on it, or don't treat it as fact, because I don't know for sure. But I mean, it's almost a given that they've probably done that. That's something that they do in a lot of cities. So I can give you an example with Philly, they were always in a much more advanced position, like in a bad way, than you guys. Like, their bill got passed, and what we've been doing is working with them to get that changed. Well, part of that bill was for, the city to be able to get data from the OTAs. And it was because, they had asked the OTAs, and the OTAs have their privacy policies. They have all of their things in place. Like, no, we don't, we have to, we have to follow our policies that we made promises to our hosts about. So, they didn't get the information that they wanted. But in the legislation, they put the ability to legally request that information by giving them a subpoena. So, yeah, and then nobody wants to hear that word. Like, yeah, I was actually just quoted in a news article in Philly because they did that in Philly about 3 weeks ago. And all the hosts were freaking out because, a bunch of hosts got this letter from Airbnb saying, hey, there's a subpoena that's been issued requesting data on your property. And we're, we want to protect your rights, but we're legally required to do X, Y, and Z. So we just want to let you know, if you want to appeal, click this button. Like, it was a whole thing. And yeah, nobody was happy about that. So this is the type of stuff that's happening. And let this be an example of what can happen when, if Dallas didn't do what they are doing now. If they let this slide, or they didn't do the right stuff, then this legislation could have been passed, and you better believe it could have had some language in there giving them the ability to legally request that information. Now, I don't know if that language is in there right now, because that's the stuff that we don't think about so much. We think about, okay, this is going to ban the short-term rentals for real. Let's focus on that. The legal subpoena part is like, well, all right. I mean, that just sucks too. But the biggest thing is right. This is all bad. This all sucks. But the legislation, and to let people know, if you didn't understand what I meant about banning 70% of short-term rentals, the legislation, if it's passed, would take out like all the short-term rentals except for in very specific commercial zones. And that is basically 30% or less of the industry. Most of the industry is in residential zoned or non-commercial zoned areas. And so the way that would be banned is the platforms would be required to remove anyone that doesn't have a license, which you wouldn't get because you're not in the right zone, from the platform. So it wouldn't be something where you could wait it out or be under the radar. The platforms would just cut you off like a light switch. You just wake up one day and your listing is deactivated. So it's a serious thing. So that's what we were focused on. But yeah, on top of that, you better believe they'll try, if they can put it on the legislation and pass it, they would love to do that because that helps them, do their enforcement too.
They are collecting data, right? So well, let's just use Philly, for example. What information did hosts have to give up to the city?
So, and I want to be clear, it wasn't that the hosts were required to do anything, which is worse. Like this is no, you're good. And I think it's good to explain it this way. Hosts have no control over it. That's the worst part. They're subpoenaing the OTAs. So let's just say like Airbnb, and they're getting the data that's on Airbnb's platform. So
what information did Airbnb give, I should say?
Sure. And no worries. And I figured that's what you meant. It's good for people to understand that. So I'm glad we went over that anyways. That's the thing. There's not a clear-cut boundary on the information that they can get. That's the bad part or the worst part. So
you're right.
Yeah. So, it could almost be anything that they want. Now, but the thing that really and this is the thing. Well, okay, I'll put it like this. We have very good knowledge and we've done we work closely with OTAs. I can't say yay or nay. I can't say too much, but it's just, we generally understand what they're trying to do. They want to get enough information to find out where short-term rental is and issue a fine, issue some sort of citation, issue some sort of penalty. So it could be name, address, especially all of those types of things. And, that's the goal of these things. It's usually for enforcement. So, it don't take much. If they can find where you live and, find what business you got, that's it.
Now, on the flip side of that, right? So there's privacy policies, right? So the city subpoenas Airbnb. Let's say Airbnb gives up your data. And that's an article that came out. The article finally dropped that hosts are creating their own platforms. And they're all saying that's why Airbnb stocks, their top hosts are creating their own platforms, right? Now, can hosts turn around and sue Airbnb for giving up their data? Or how would they?
You can sue somebody for anything technically. So, hey,
Airbnb probably has better lawyers than we do.
that I would be more inclined to say is true. But class action lawsuits. I mean, again, David versus Goliath. Like, that could definitely be a thing. I don't see it. Like, I find it if that went far enough. Again, when you're dealing with a mass of people, millions of people, and they've agreed to use a product, and even if a small percentage of them feel like they got their data taken or was used against their understanding or will, it's very likely that there could be some sort of a lawsuit. I mean, I don't know of anything, but I mean, I'll give you an example. There was a law firm. I want to say they were out of Chicago, and they were gathering up plaintiffs to sue the OTAs, and I'd say specifically Airbnb for the 2020 COVID cancellations. So, again, if enough people think that that's an issue for them to the point where they want to sue the platforms, it's possible that they would do it. I don't, I'm not, this isn't me saying, I think it's likely that they would win or whether it's a good idea or not. I mean, I'm not like, what's the word? I'm not like, I think people should do what they feel is necessary for themselves. I mean, I'm not, anti Airbnb or anti OTA in this case for this situation, but I'm definitely not, if somebody was like, hey, look, I had my information stolen. That's basically what it was. I would, I think people should do what they think is best for their properties. We're pro STR community. That's us, the property owners, the operators. Yeah, I mean, let's put it like this. I don't know. What I want, if you want to know what I want, here's my stance in general. I want the industry, us, the owners, operators, to be able to operate the way we want to operate, like good operators operating responsibly, having as good of a business as we can, making the most profits, serving the most guests, like creating the best experiences, right? And these regulations, like there's all these things that can get in the way of that. So I think, for people, there's going to be people that their answer is to do one thing, and their answer to operate the best is to do maybe a class action lawsuit or you see what I'm saying? So it's really about the people and what they think is best. We want what's best for the short-term rental community. And, so it's an interesting situation. There's a lot of different things going on. I mean, we hear about it all, man. It's interesting. So
I'll say to our listeners out there, if you're in Philly and you find out that Airbnb gave up your data, class action lawsuit their asses.
Oh man! Hey, look, this is not an endorsement from STR Hero on a class action lawsuit. I want to shout out the OTAs that are helping us with the bills and stuff. But I mean, here's the thing: people, we're operating for the people. I really don't think anybody is. I mean, even the OTAs want to do anything like that, or like they don't feel good about it. But that's the thing, we're here for STR Hero is here for the people. And right now, the biggest issue is these regulations that are coming down the pipeline. And there's a lot of play for the platforms, the owners, operators to work together in the right way to get this stuff done. But now look, nobody's perfect, and it's like we want people to do what they need to do. You see what I'm saying? So people, y'all do what y'all need to do. We're focused on stopping these bad regulations, which I think really hurt the most people. And if we're helping y'all on that front, then that's great. And then y'all make sure you do what you need to do with other stuff as well. I mean, hey, it's our businesses, like it's every individual should be able to make their business decisions the way they need to make them. So
have y'all thought about reaching out to Alex Stein to go talk to the city council?
So Alex Stein, I'm trying to remember.
He's the white dude that goes and raps at city councils. And
why is this so familiar? Did we bring this up? Did we talk about this last time?
I don't know if we did.
Rang a bell.
Yeah. He was singing. He was rapping about Russia and the COVID and. Anyways, go look up Alex Stein at the city council meeting. He goes all over. He hops all over the country.
Different city councils.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, look, this probably be something he'd be into because, like, oh man, okay, it's gonna be a lot of eyes on this. Airbnb's watching this, but man, I don't know if that would do us more harm or good. It would be funny, but it'd be like, damn, we could have used that testimony for some more business owners to talk about stuff. But yeah, hey, if that helps get it more views, we might have more people looking at this fight in Dallas. It's funny to jump onto that. Have y'all heard of this? It's like two people, and they sound like surfer dudes, and I think they mainly go to California city council meetings. So different city council meetings in cities in California, and they'll be like. We're with the association of bros, and we just want more good vibes for the people. Like I think I'm doing a pretty good job with their accent. Like they straight up surfer dudes. Man, we might have to put the link in the podcast or something. Like it's hilarious. And they're like, we think we should make it mandatory where all citizens get to go on free yacht parties because that will raise the morale of the city and produce more productivity. Like they went in. Like it was like a whole. They had like a whole plan, but it was all parody and based on getting stoked. I guess that's what they said. You got
just like the guy saying that boneless wings are pretty much really chicken nuggets. That guy going to city council and saying that.
Probably is it like this? Okay, is it it's like it's two white dudes with one has like really curly hair. And kind of like a little fro almost, and then the other guy has like blonde hair, and he's like the typical surfer dude. Is it those guys? Have y'all seen their faces?
I haven't seen those guys, but I mean, it's the funny thing. Well, not the funny thing is like we talked about it on the show last time. None of us young. I say young. I'm 45, but 45 and below,
still young man,
50 and below.
Yeah,
we don't have time to go to these city council meetings, right? We're at work,
Yeah.
or most of us have jobs, but the people that are running our cities are, you know, the older people that are retired and don't have nothing else to do but go to these city council meetings and getting in the ear of these people, of the city council members. And I was shocked when I first started going to these because of the Arlington STR band. But I was like, wow, they yield a lot of power, these old people in the neighborhood, man.
Mm-hmm. They do, and that's the thing. You know, people one with the most time on their hands to go to these meetings, and if they have, you know, what's the word? It's like time on your hands. I mean, I hate to say it like this, but money and in some level, some sort of influence, or using that money to gain influence in the right way. You know, again, hiring a lobbyist to, and then they're holding some seat of power in a neighborhood. Like, I'm telling you, that's a big deal, and that's what the industry needs to do, is just be more aware of what's going on at the government level. And you know, it's getting better, but that's really our mission. That's a big part of our mission, is we want to stop things from happening, but we also want things to be, you know, we want prevention. Prevention is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Benjamin Franklin said that famously, and that's so true with this industry. And yeah, we're just not present enough, but that's changing. And again, Dallas is a great example of that working extremely well. So big shout out to Dallas STRA. They've been crushing it. And, you know, as long as the community keeps going in this direction, man, I think things are going to look really good. Now, again, to reiterate those dates, April 19th and May 3rd are dates to look at, because that's when there could be briefings on what they're going to do with regards to actually voting on this. So, you know, they could be voting, you know, they could decide to vote on this as early as the 26th of April, or, well, actually, no, I would say not the 26th, excuse me, May 10th, because that's the next city council meeting. There's a meeting on the 26th, but it's extremely unlikely that they would choose that date to even possibly do a vote. They're really trying to see if they want to do it in May. And the thing is, the elections are in May. And that's why it's another reason why it's unlikely they'll actually do it then. And then if that gets delayed, that's a huge win. It's like a domino effect. It's delayed after the elections happen, new people get in the office, they're looking at this bill that's really contested, that nobody really, you know, like nobody's like completely in on passing, and they're like, okay, well, I don't want to deal with this right now. I got to get acclimated to my new position, and then I have to actually see what the issue is here. So it's almost like they're going to need to be rebriefed on this, most likely. It's going to be like it's like restarting the whole process. But yeah, we'll know about that on the 19th or May 3rd. That's when we'll really find out what's going on.
Okay. And like right now, with everything about to hit the last 3 final dates, what would you advise hosts to do right now in this position in Dallas?
So first, what I would do is, if you're not signed up to Dallas STRA's email list, you need to sign up now, because that's where all of our updates are going out. And their website is, I want to say it's Dallas, I think it's dstra.org. I'll definitely give it to you guys so that we can have it in the meeting, but hold on. Okay, it's DallasSTRA.org. So the city Dallas, STRA.org. Go there and sign up for their email list. And one second, I'm actually putting it in the chat real quick here if that matters. But basically, do that first if you haven't already, and you're going to get the information on what to do next. Now, it's very likely that, you know, they're going to want people to tune in on the 19th. So, you know, if you want to be personally involved and understand what's up, you should attend those briefings on the 19th and then May 3rd. Again, if you want information on that, reach out to Dallas STRA, or you can go to the Dallas website. You can contact a city clerk to get information on it. But usually what happens is, closer to that date, they'll put some sort of bulletin up on the government website that gives you the information on how to attend. You might be able to just join online or in person, and you would basically go from there. But everything stems from the association, because that's where all of the information and actions are stemming from. So if you do that, and you can email them again, all that information's there on the website. You will be in the loop. You can also join their Facebook group. Just type in Dallas STRA on Facebook and join their Facebook group. They also post things there, but we're going to be giving all the info and keeping everybody in the loop there. But attend these meetings. And, I probably, because I know what we've been doing since the last thing on the 4th, we've been having people email their city council person. So if you want to, you can still continue to do that. Again, go to the website. You can see the city council contact information. It's like the first thing on the page. You'll be able to find who your city council person is, and you can email them, call them, hit them up. You let them know what short-term rentals mean to you. And I can even give you 3 bulletins. It's like, I'm gonna just look, you can't go wrong by doing this stuff. So, you'll get new information by hearing from Dallas STRA, but this is what we've all been talking about. So you should email the city council person in your district or call them and say the following things. 1, what short-term rentals do for you and your community, or let's just say for you and your family. Then what short-term rentals do for your community. And then 3, what would happen if this ordinance got passed and you're no longer able to host. Simple as that. You do that, and that's really going to help. We want to flood the inboxes with, good narratives and the truth, so that they understand this is an issue for us.
Okay. So y'all have it. Those are the things y'all need to do to get signed up, man. And I think we looks like we're kicking the can down the road, so maybe that's some good stuff coming. So I'm confident that people will still be able to operate. Yeah.
I'm confident too. We always in advocacy, we're like, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And don't worry, we don't really say that. So that's probably a little, it's probably not something good to say anymore. But it ain't over till it's over, and that's a good thing. It's not meant to be doom and gloom. It's, look, in Detroit, where this all first started, we thought it could have been over then, and it ended up being over in the good way, meaning that bill got thrown out. So we have a couple more meetings to really see how far this is going to go, but it's already been delayed as of the 4th. That's huge. Okay. So it is likely that it will get delayed again. And that's the final nail in the coffin, where you guys are just on the good foot. And then it's just keeping that connection with the city, so you guys are a part of the actual ordinance that they end up passing. And then you guys will be in a really good place.
I think the explanation you told me was like, these council people, they want to put forth something that they're going to win on. They're not going to try to put some legislation forward that there's a chance they're going to lose, right? They want to make sure they got the votes.
Mm-hmm. Image is important anybody in politics, image is important. I think you guys get it. Think of all the scandals and all the stuff that comes out in the news. None of these politicians want things like that. And none of these politicians want to be seen as not, having something that they support not happen. If they are behind something, they want it to be seen as a win, to the point where people would rather not bring it up to get voted on if they feel that they're not going to win, so that they can maintain that image of, oh, well, yeah, we're looking at this. We're actually, we're still going to pass this ordinance, or we're still going to do what's right for the community, but we're looking and gathering more data. We're doing this, we're doing that, because we want the best thing for the people. You see what I'm saying? But that really, and that's not a bad thing, but it's like, what that also means is, yeah, this wasn't gonna get enough votes. People aren't sold on it as much anymore. Let's pull back on this. We want to get the right support. So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, Theron, man, where can people find you? By the way, the Arkansas State short-term rentals, they have a state union. I told them to reach out to you because they're going through some stuff, so they should be reaching out to you. But where can people find you, just in case they are listening?
Oh, for sure. So we'll put it like this. The website is strhero.com. You can reach me at the STR Hero on all platforms. So Instagram, Twitter, email, Theron at thestrhero.com. But the best way to reach out to me is through the website, where you can literally book a free call with me and it has the fields. This is how we get a lot of info. It'll be free 15-minute call. Tell me what's going on in your city and let's see what the problem is. So, if you need to reach out immediately, I think that's the best way to do it. You'll immediately be on my calendar, but feel free to also reach out to me on Instagram. And again, it's the STR Hero on all platforms. strhero.com is the website.
You must be a busy dude, because how many cities are going through this right now?
Man, look, it's a great question. And I'm thinking about it now. I can't even put an exact number on it, because literally every day we hear about something new or something changing. So, and I'll give you guys a little, I don't know the right word right now, but I guess a tidbit about how this looks on the macro scale. So I mentioned that we have a database of 1,400 short-term rental regulations. Every month, we have to update a decent percentage of that data. That's actually the biggest thing with having a completely up-to-date data set. And we actually have a product out that we have. It's a subscription service that we've gotten a lot of interest from different companies, and companies have purchased that. This is the thing. This stuff is changing and happening every single day. So yeah. But again, not a bad thing. This is where the industry is right now. And if we're seeing changes for the better, that's beautiful. And the more that we do stuff like this, the more we're going to see those changes. So again, Dallas is proof right there. And what will happen is, this is the beautiful thing, because Dallas is doing really well right now. And once we really hear how much they're going to delay this, that's a good sign for the rest of Texas. That's a good sign for what they're trying to do at the state level, which we talked about, I think, before. The state level does not make these decisions. It's the cities that make these decisions. Then the state follows suit. So, that could be a good sign for even Plano, which I know is having their issues right now. This is a big deal. And other cities outside of Texas are going to be looking at Dallas and saying, oh, they actually didn't pass that thing. Okay, so let's look at examples of good regulations. So again, the more that we do our part here in cities like this, the more we can change those things for the better. So when we're updating this regulations database, I want us to keep seeing good stuff. They made better regulations in California. Okay, I'm sure if anybody's kept track of regulations in LA and stuff, I'm sure they can understand that California is not a place where you see a good trend in regulations. Usually the change is for the worse. But again, that's what we're hoping to change as well. So hopefully that gives you a good idea. This stuff's changing everywhere, and we just want to be a part of making it a positive change.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Theron, for hopping on again and for fighting the good fight for us all out there. And yeah, we appreciate it, dude. We appreciate it so much.
For
sure. I appreciate you guys. You guys were here from the beginning when this whole fight started, and now y'all are here where it looks like it's starting to come to a conclusion. So, big shout out to you guys for being a voice for the community. You're doing this for Dallas and for people worldwide. They all can benefit from this, And I do want to do this. If you don't mind, I want to give a good shout out to the board of Dallas STRA, because we this is like us virtually all putting our hands up, as winners. We got a little bit more to see, but a big congratulations to Vera, Lisa, and Shelby, and also Karen. I always forget her last name, Karen Eubanks. Those are the main board members for Dallas STRA. Lisa Sievers, Vera Elkins, Shelby. I always forget her last name. Sorry, Shelby. And Karen Eubanks, big shout out to you guys. You know, you guys' hard work is paying off, and I'm really glad at that. So big shout out to them.
And shout out to him. Thank you for coming on again, my man.
For sure, for sure. Oh, sorry. Last one more thing. This, hey, if it's too many one mores, then we can cut stuff out. But I do owe it to Dallas to let them know. I think we should let them know about where they can donate if they do want to support. Just for anybody that is trying to support, you know, Dallas STRA to finish this fight, and the thing that I was mentioning, to continue on and make sure that you guys are at the table to create this legislation. They have to continue to be able to pay their necessary expenses. Right now, it's the lobbyists that's the biggest expense. You know, if this is going well, it might be where we don't need the lobbyists that much longer, but we have to finish this off. So, you know, it would be like they're trying to raise a total of $15,000 within the next month or so. But if they can do something, you know, and get to $5,000 in a short order, that's going to allow them to keep paying those bills. So any donation, whether it's $1 or $1,000 or whatever, is helpful. So if you have it in you, if you have the money to donate anything, they could definitely use the help. And, you know, we can post the donation link in the podcast and whatnot. But yeah, that's something that would be much appreciated so that they can keep fighting for you guys.
Wait, send that money.
That's right. Hey, don't let those neighborhood associations beat y'all. All they doing is sitting at home and sending some money. They oh man, and going to these dang meetings. So, but anyways, hey, shout out to the neighborhood associations. We want cooler heads to prevail. All right, so
win-win for everybody.
We're not the enemy. Hopefully they realize that. But anyways.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. We will see you at the meetings. We'll see you everywhere, man. You're flying around all over the city.
Hey, hopefully it seems like this cape is working, you know? If they think I'm a real superhero, being all the places that I be, they might think I can really fly. So, hey, I'm going to keep that illusion going, all right? And keep booking these flights. But man, oh goodness. All right, thanks you guys.
Thank you,
man. Take care.
Another great episode in the books, man. Airbnb out here slanging data, man. That's gonna be the name of this episode now.
Slanging data.
Slanging data, man. They slanging your data.
Slanging and banging, baby.
Oh man. So yeah, man. That was a good episode. A lot of good stuff. Learned a lot. Looks like they pushed back. So I mean, that's pretty cool, but you know, they kicking the can on down the road. I just don't want them to get the wrong information. And I was wondering about, you know, because I did hear about Philly. It's kind of been blowing up lately, you know, that they subpoenaed their asses. But I don't know if Dallas would do it, but it was a question. I'm very interested after, because you know how it is. When one city does something, the next city hears about it and they start doing it too. And like, you know, so yeah.
Me personally, I don't think they would. I mean, the way the situation is kind of smoothing out towards the end, I don't think they throw like a volatile punch right at the end of it. You know, that's just me. It could happen. Who knows? But I think Philly's been slugging at the short-term rentals since the beginning, man. They're hardcore over there. Over here, Dallas has been taking their time, kicking the can. So
yeah, kicking cans ain't always good. That's what they did in Arlington. They kicked the can right into a hole. So that's all I was wondering. I hopefully things look up, man. I'm happy we got a lobbyist and we got Theron here. So, and hopefully I think that'll be enough where we'll get some favorable regulations.
Yeah, if you start hearing some murmurs in your city, hit up there and get that free 15-minute phone call. He'll guide you what to do. I think everybody should start, like, because you know Arlington had the Arlington Short-Term Rental Association, Dallas DSTRA. I think. See, I mean, Houston's a wild, wild west still, but maybe do they have a Houston STRA group yet? I don't know.
Man, they ain't passing nothing in Houston. They don't even have zoning regulations. They don't give a damn. No, I don't know. It could happen, but I mean, yeah, every city should have one. I think so as well.
Yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, get ahead of it, get ahead of the game. Reach out to Theron. He's the coolest dude. I reached out to him about when this stuff started coming up, and hey, I'll be right there, man. He's on it, man. So yeah, there's some great people out there fighting for us, and send them a few bucks. You know, they need to eat too. They're out there saving our income from our STRs and whatnot. So yeah, send them a few bucks and they'll help keep fighting the cause all over the country. So there you go.
Let's go. And by the way, you can find us at liveletthrive@gmail.com. Send us an email. Remember to like, subscribe, leave us a review. Also, are we going to have replays of our masterclass?
Yes.
Yes, we will have replays of our masterclass. We will be, matter of fact, the link for that will be in the show notes. Mike, Steve, and Fetty killed it all about midterm rentals, operations, all that good stuff. I was out of town. But yeah, you guys, a lot of good, valuable information in there. Check the link below, click our link tree, Instagram, follow us on all that good stuff. And thank y'all for continuing to listen. We are out.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.